You can drop bombs, but you can't drop courage. Missiles may pierce the earth, send shockwaves through cities, and fill skies with fire, but they can never destroy the spirit of those who refuse to surrender their humanity. That's what the world needs to understand now, more than ever. We are not defined by the wars we endure, but by how we carry ourselves through them. You see, when the world shakes, when violence erupts, when headlines scream chaos, most people look to power, to weapons, to strategies. But real strength lies in the soul that still stands for peace when the whole world tells it to kneel to hate. We've seen too much pain to still be blind. From war-torn cities to divided streets in our own backyards, destruction tries to rewrite the script of who we are. But the truth, it can't, because peace isn't soft. It isn't weakness. Peace is steel and silence. It's choosing to hold your brother's hand instead of raising your fist, and make no mistake, there is courage in that choice. Courage to speak calm in a storm. Courage to forgive the unforgivable. Courage to hope when all the evidence says you shouldn't. And don't get it twisted. This kind of courage ain't easy. It's not a headline. It's not glamorous. It's the parent shielding their child while the world crumbles around them. It's the protester who kneels in peace while others rage in violence. It's the teacher who builds minds while the rest of the world seems to be tearing itself apart. These people aren't weak. They are warriors of a different kind. And in this time, the world doesn't need more missiles. It needs more of them. We live in a time when the loudest voices are often the angriest. But volume doesn't equal truth. Anger doesn't equal justice. Peace doesn't come from noise. It comes from wisdom, from vision, from leadership that dares to see humanity in the face of the enemy. It takes a different kind of hero to stand in the ashes and still build something better. And that's the message we need today, not just in war zones, but in boardrooms, in classrooms, in homes, because peace doesn't just happen on the battlefield. It starts in our conversations, in how we treat each other, in what we teach our children about dignity and respect. So yes, missiles may fall, cities may burn, but the courage to choose peace, to live it, breathe it, fight for it with everything you've got, that's something no weapon can destroy. That's something eternal, something unshakable, and in a world trying to tear itself apart, being someone who holds the line for peace, that might be the bravest thing any of us can do. Pressure doesn't build character. It reveals it. And when the world feels like it's cracking under the weight of violence and fear, that's when we see who we really are. Not when the cameras are rolling. Not when the crowd is cheering. But in the quiet, heavy moments, when lives are lost, when the future seems uncertain, when doing the right thing costs you something, that's when truth shows its face. And if peace is what we truly want, then we have to be ready to earn it, not just ask for it. You see, anyone can talk about peace when the skies are clear and the streets are calm. But real peace is forged in fire. It's born when leaders refuse to mirror the cruelty that's been done to them. When communities rise, not to take revenge, but to restore what's been broken. That kind of character, the one that chooses justice without rage, strength without violence, that doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure, and the world's under pressure right now. So we have a decision to make. Who are we under the weight of war, under the pull of division? Do we fold, or do we rise? It's not enough to point fingers to say who started it or who's to blame. That's easy, that's human, but we have to be better than that. We have to choose to be the kind of people who carry peace like armor, who stand tall not because we've never been hit, but because we refuse to hit back the wrong way. Peace is not passive. It's not silence. It's a decision made in the middle of chaos. It's a fight every single day to hold onto our principles, our values, our shared humanity, no matter what the world throws at us. And here's the truth that's hard to swallow. Peace isn't something that just happens. It's not gifted to us by politicians or enforced by treaties. Peace is work, it's discipline, it's responsibility. It's saying no to hate when hate feels easier. It's choosing to understand when judgment is more convenient. It's listening when you'd rather shout. And it starts with each of us, every moment, every interaction. Every chance we have to decide whether we're pouring water on the fire or gasoline. There's no shortcut to peace, no magic words, just choices, hard, consistent, and deeply human choices, the kind of choices that echo louder than bombs ever will. And if we want to live in a world where peace lasts longer than conflict, we have to be willing to be revealed under pressure, to be strong when it matters most, and to build peace not just with our words, but with our lives. That's the message the world needs right now. Peace ain't the absence of war. It's the presence of principle. See, we've been taught to believe that when the guns go silent, peace has arrived. But that's a lie the world keeps repeating to itself. Because real peace isn't measured by quiet streets or signed documents. It's measured by how we treat each other when no one's looking. It's measured by whether justice flows in every direction or just to the powerful. It's in the choices we make long after the smoke clears. War may end on paper, but the wounds remain if the heart doesn't change. Peace is not a pause, it's a promise that we're not just going to survive the storm, we're going to grow something better after it. And that takes work, because peace is not automatic. It doesn't just show up because we wish for it. It comes when people choose principle over pride, when nations choose humanity over hostility, when leaders choose the hard road of reconciliation instead of the easy road of revenge. And make no mistake, choosing peace doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you back down. It means you have the strength to hold a line no one else can see. It means standing in a room full of rage and being the one who stays calm, clear, committed. That's harder than any battle. That's real leadership. That's real power, because power isn't in missiles. It's not in tanks. It's in self-control, in wisdom, in being able to see the future when everyone else is stuck in the past. Now, if you look around, you'll see plenty of people fighting for victory, but very few fighting for peace. Victory is fast, loud, full of ego. Peace is patient, it's quiet. It's built from principle, not pride. And that's why the world needs it now, because we've had enough explosions, enough speeches, enough blood in the streets. What we need are people willing to carry peace like a mission, not a moment. People who don't just say the right thing when it's easy, but do the right thing when it's hard. And that's where you come in. That's where we all come in. Peace can't just live in government halls or foreign negotiations. It has to live in us, in how we speak to strangers, in how we raise our children, in how we forgive even when it hurts. Every day, in big ways and small, we're choosing whether we are building a world of peace or pushing it further away. The question isn't whether peace is possible. The question is whether we're willing to choose it again and again, even when it costs us. And if we are, then peace is not just possible, it's powerful. You can train a soldier, but only love trains a soul. That's the difference between war and peace. War teaches you how to fight, how to survive, how to destroy, but peace, real peace, teaches you how to live, how to connect, how to heal. Missiles may command the battlefield, but the human heart commands the future. And that heart, when it chooses love over vengeance, is the most powerful weapon this world has ever known. We've invested so much in tools of destruction. We've mastered how to break things apart. But what about building them back up? What about rebuilding trust between communities, compassion between people, understanding between nations? You can't legislate that. You can't force that at the end of a barrel. That takes something deeper. Something we've forgotten in the noise of conflict, empathy. And where does that start? In the heart. In the decision to see the enemy as a person before anything else. The world today is looking for solutions in strategy, in politics, in power. But what we need is soul. Because the root of war is not just in borders or ideologies, it's in brokenness, in the absence of connection, and until we address that, the cycle continues. Until we dare to love where we were taught to hate, peace will always be temporary. The hardest thing a person can do isn't to pull a trigger, it's to reach out a hand. But that's what changes everything. Think about the people who really changed history. They weren't always the strongest, or the loudest, or the most powerful. They were the ones who refused to lose their humanity when the world told them to. The ones who saw light when everything around them was dark. The ones who answered violence not with silence, but with love. That kind of strength doesn't come from training camps or governments. It comes from the soul and love. Though the world may laugh at it, underestimate it, even call it naive, has stopped more wars than bullets ever have. We often say, fight fire with fire. But peace says, fight fire with water. And not because it's easy, but because it works. Love disarms, it heals, it transforms. And in a time where everything feels ready to burn, what we need most is people willing to carry water, willing to speak peace when anger's the trend, to show kindness where bitterness lives, to build bridges where war has built walls. So no, love isn't weakness. It's the strongest choice we have left. And if we want to hand our children a world worth living in, we better start choosing it. Because what we sow now, in love or in hate, will bloom in their future. And if we want peace that lasts longer than a ceasefire, we've got to let love lead the way. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you plant in others. And in times like these, when the world seems to be falling apart at the seams, we've got to stop and ask ourselves, what are the children learning from all of this? Because they're watching, they're listening, they're soaking in every action, every reaction, every word spoken in anger or silence held in fear. And what they see in us today becomes what they carry into tomorrow. You see, war doesn't just wound bodies, it wounds minds. It carves messages into the hearts of the young. When missiles fall, they don't just destroy buildings. They shatter trust, hope, and the belief that this world can be better. And if all the next generation sees is destruction, division, and hate, then what do we expect them to build when it's their turn? If all they hear is revenge, how will they learn to forgive? If all they're shown is strength through violence, how will they ever understand the strength it takes to choose peace? We can't just tell children to believe in peace. We have to show them how. That means leading with compassion, with wisdom, and with the kind of courage that chooses dialogue over dominance. It means showing them that real heroes aren't the ones who strike first, but the ones who hold on to principle even when it hurts. We don't raise leaders by yelling louder. We raise them by listening deeper. We raise them by modeling grace in a graceless world. It's easy to get caught up in headlines, in politics, in the endless noise. But when the dust settles, it's the next generation that inherits the decisions we make. And the question is, are we leaving them a world broken beyond repair, or are we giving them the tools to heal it? That starts in the home, yes. In the classroom, yes. But it also starts in the choices we make every single day. How we treat a neighbor, how we handle conflict, how we show up when it's hard to. We have to ask ourselves, are we planting seeds of peace or seeds of pain? Because children don't just hear what we say, they feel what we believe. And if we want them to carry peace forward, then we must be peace in the present. Not just during times of crisis, but in every quiet moment. We must teach them that peace is not weakness, but wisdom. Not surrender, but strength. Because one day we'll be gone, and all that will be left are the values we instilled, the love we gave, the example we set. If we want a world where missiles no longer fall, we must raise hearts that refuse to drop. And it begins with us, right here, right now, Flames burn out, light keeps shining. That's the truth the world keeps forgetting. We watch the news, see the smoke rising, hear the sound of missiles tearing through the sky, and we think all hope is lost. But destruction, no matter how loud it is, always comes to an end. What survives isn't the noise, it's the light. The quiet strength, the steady resolve, the simple acts of peace that don't make headlines but make history. Because in the middle of war, in the heart of conflict, there are people holding the line, not with weapons, but with will. There are medics running into chaos, not away from it. There are teachers holding classrooms together in crumbling cities. There are mothers singing lullabies over the sound of airstrikes. And there are strangers reaching out to strangers across fences, across languages, across pain. That's light, and it doesn't just survive war, it outlasts it. We have to stop giving all our attention to the flames. Yes, they burn. Yes, they destroy, but they are temporary. What truly matters is what we carry through the fire. The kindness we refuse to abandon, the values we refuse to compromise, the dignity we hold onto when everything around us tells us to let go. Because those are the things that shape the future, not the blast, but the response. Too often, we measure the strength of a nation by its arsenal. But real power is shown by the ones who rebuild, the ones who love again, the ones who trust again. That's the kind of strength that lights the way forward. And it comes from people who have seen the fire but chose to be light anyway, not out of denial, but out of defiance, a belief that peace is not only possible, it's necessary, not someday but now. Even in the darkest times, the smallest act of peace becomes a beacon. A word spoken with respect, a hand extended in forgiveness, a choice to listen instead of shout. These things may seem small, but they shine. They guide others. They break cycles. And when enough of us become that light, even the longest night begins to end. So no, we don't need to match fire with more fire. We need to answer it with light, with patience, with truth, with love that doesn't flinch when tested. Because the fire will pass, the smoke will clear. But the light we choose to be, that stays, that spreads, that shapes a future where peace isn't just an idea, but a reality. And if we can hold on to that light, if we can carry it through every storm, through every fear, through every broken moment, then no matter how many missiles fall, peace will never die.